Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be talking about building abundant wealth, 8 keys to financial freedom. And just so you know, like prior to being a successful entrepreneur, and that's not me by the way, that's my son, but this is my mum. So prior to being a successful entrepreneur, from the age of 6, when my parents divorced, I was brought up by my mum until I was like 13, and during that time, she had a mental illness, and nobody quite knew enough about mental illnesses at that point. So she's got like schizophrenia. So there was, if you've ever seen the movie A Beautiful Mind, it was kind of like that. Like there was writing on all the walls around the house. Really difficult to explain how hard it was to gain social skills when you don't have any social skills demonstrated to you in the house. So I had it tough. At school and stuff like that, lots of bullying, had trouble making friends, had low self-esteem, and life wasn't the best. Certainly got a bit better when I moved in with Dad when I was 13, and that was good, although Mum kept trying to come to school thinking she worked there, so that wasn't ideal either. But I am proud of my mum, by the way. She's a wonderful woman. She loves the kids, my kids, and so forth. She's great. I'm not bagging her. I'm just saying that I wasn't like born into wealth or anything. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I used to wake up in the morning seeing my own breath. It was so cold in the house, and even after leaving home, I was still in a rundown apartment, driving a Mazda 808. Living with a bunch of other students who ended up all going on drugs, and I was the only one that wasn't at that point in time. But things turned around for me a lot, and I'll talk about my turning point in a moment, and then I'll talk about how to become a successful entrepreneur. The point of me just telling you this is so that you know, like, I feel like if I can do it, well, anyone can. Now I'm married with three kids, got a wonderful wife, love to travel. I coach kids sports teams, touch rugby, cricket. I'm an entrepreneur. I love what I do for a business. I got lots of great friends. In fact, even by my 21st birthday, we had about 100 people there. Like things had turned around dramatically in my life, thanks to some of the stuff that you'll see. Not just the financial stuff, but even before that. I love watching and playing sports. And a lot of people rely on me in their lives now. Not just, say, employees and stuff that work for me, which is still important. Got to run a good business because I know they've got families and stuff to support, but also my mum, even my dad now who's in his 70s, and many other people, other family members, and other people around the world. We support some charities and stuff and have sponsored children and other things. So I feel like there's a sense of responsibility to actually keep building wealth. So I don't have, say, a sense of guilt about making wealth, because if I don't, then I'm not supporting those people that rely on me to be successful, including you guys who are getting to learn from me. And hopefully I can help you become bring even more wealth into your lives. Okay, so my turning point, though, was when I was 16. A friend of my father's, a successful real estate investor, gave me a Mind Power personal development audio program to go through. And that was the start of my journey. I went through this program. I went through a self-hypnosis program by another person. I went through reading different books on, anything ranging from personal development through to stuff to do with harnessing the power of the mind for learning purposes and stuff like that as well. Memory development, everything. I learned a lot. All in the space of about a year, I learned heaps. And my big realization, number one, and this is not one of the wealth traits yet, we've got a couple of these to go through first, was my big realization, number one, was I have the power. Because I used to think that, for instance, other kids are bullying me. Why is everyone else mean? I used to think like that. Instead, something clicked, and I was like, wait a minute. if everyone's doing this to me, maybe it's me and not them. Just suddenly hit me in a moment. And one of the big things that I learned in the first Mind Power program, John Kehoe program, was we live in two separate worlds, an inner world and an outer world. Most people live their lives all in the outer world, and their thoughts, and in their thoughts. And their inner world, though, it's a state of constant reaction to the outer world. They've got no personal power. They think that they feel down because the outer world is going badly, and they react. And your inner world becomes a reaction when really there's so much power in choosing and creating and growing a really strong inner world, which causes the outer world to become a reflection of that. Like, your outer world's a reflection of your inner world. It's not the other way around. If there's chaos inside, it'll reflect outside. So this led me to releasing blame, taking responsibility for my current life circumstances, and changing my inner voice to one that said the things that I want it to say. So no more was I saying to myself that I'm no good at certain things. I would question myself if I said it. I'd write it down and I'd note it, because at some point I was going to make a affirmation that I was going to say to rewrite that thought. Because let's say I had a negative belief like, I don't know, let's say, for instance, I'm shy around girls. So I might be thinking, hey, I might be thinking to myself, whatever it might be, other kids, the cool kids, are better with women, so I'm not going to be. So I just changed that. I wrote down the belief that I just wrote down, girls love me, women love me. And, even with me being slightly awkward, the way I talk and stuff like that made no difference. I actually got to a point where I would get a lot of guys would be asking me for tips and whatever on how to talk to women and stuff like that, because we would end up in a bar and the coolest, most suave guy in our group would be too chicken to go and walk up to a girl and start talking to them. And, if you've got the right attitude and you're not just there to get something out of someone, but you're actually, you want to know, you're there to have some fun and you want to know someone, you can go up to anyone and start a conversation. And I think it all came back to just rewriting the script. I wrote down another belief, I'm a great catch. And I would say that over and over again. And there's so many people out there that think that they're out of their league when they're talking to that person that they really would want. But if you come from that mindset that you don't have value, but they do, it's really hard to get very far. I know I've gone off track here just a little bit. It's not quite on the money stuff, but what's fundamental was that I was changing the script, changing the inner voice. That's super, super important. And anyone that I've helped succeed as an entrepreneur has usually had to either change the inner voice or already had a very good inner voice to begin with. I don't see people getting very far with a very highly negative belief system. Even if they're given the exact perfect blueprint to go through, something tends to go wrong when the inner scripting isn't right. So anyway, big realization number 2, thoughts are real forces, and without care, they will run amok. So only 2 things shape your life, your thoughts and your actions. So what you think and what you do. And no action can happen without you thinking about it. So thoughts, they're creative substances, and each has an effect on your life. And you've got the power to insert any thought into your mind. That was a big realization for me. I think that I just thought that thoughts happen on autopilot, and every thought that I hear in my head is me. And I changed that to realizing that a lot of them are just repetitive tapes that keep playing over and over again. And once you start to realize, wait a minute, my brain is just replaying a movie. I've already seen the movie before. I know what the outcome is. Do I need to watch that movie again? If I don't like it, why watch the same movie again? Like that one where you might be stewing over something that happened to you 9 months ago when someone wronged you. Fine, stew over it when it happens, stew over it the next day, stew over it a week later, and then don't keep playing the same tape, because that tape has been played. You know the outcome. You don't need to keep watching it. I used to do that. So a lot of my thoughts were out of control, and I was letting other people's ideas live rent-free in my mind, and I needed to choose the thoughts that I think for myself and rewrite my internal belief system and habits. So, the 8 keys to financial freedom. Key number 1 is choosing an empowering belief system about money. Think positive. Allow yourself to dream big. It's okay to dream that you're going to be a millionaire who has no worries about where the next paycheck's going to come from. You've got your house paid off and you're traveling the world and so forth. I'm not saying that I'm guaranteeing that that's going to happen to you. I'm saying it's okay to dream that. You don't have to protect yourself by what if this doesn't happen. Actually, a lot of great things happen because you allow yourself to dream. Children are allowed to dream. Why can't adults? You know, not every single dream's going to happen, but allow yourself to dream at the very least. Like if your dream might be something slightly unrealistic, like traveling to Mars, dream it anyway, because mate, you never know. I mean, you absolutely never know what's going to happen in 30 years from now, or 20 years, or 10 years, but allow yourself to dream and dream really big. You can dream absurdly if you want to, or within your own realism, it's up to you, but just allow yourself that, and don't think the world's going to come crushing down if it doesn't happen, because when you aim here, at the very worst, when you aim here and take action towards here, you end up here. But when you aim nowhere, at best you go in a straight line, at worst you go down. Weed out negative beliefs. It's not always obvious what your negative beliefs are, but if any come across your mind and you notice it, then there's 2 things you can do. One is write it down, because if you write it down, then you know that there's an opportunity for you to go back to it later and try and overwrite it with something that you would like to believe instead. Well, 2, you can observe it. So you just go, oh, that's really interesting how my brain keeps doing that. It keeps throwing up this thought that, you know, blah, 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 you know, and you just observe it and you're just like, whoa, that's interesting. There's that negative thought flowing by. I'm just going to let it go, you know. Or alternatively, sometimes some negative thoughts have to be entertained if it's not one that's repetitive, like it's brand new, something that's happened. It's okay. It's okay to have grief or to be upset about something if it's a brand new thought. I'm more talking about the ones that are repetitive. You've had it not once, you've had it not twice, you've had it not 3 times. It's like the umpteenth time that you've had that same thought. Don't need it anymore if it's not serving you. And then choose yourself. Don't wait to be chosen. Super, super important. The number of people I have that say, oh yeah, like I would like to do this, but my husband thinks that, you know, I need to do this, this, and this first, and then he thinks he'll be confident that I can do it. And I'm like, don't give your power to someone else. Choose yourself. Don't wait for your boss to suddenly notice that you're brilliant. Just go ahead and do what needs to be done. You know, be the person that you want to be. Choose yourself. You think that you want to write a book and get it out there and sell it in the bookshelves? Choose yourself. Don't wait for a publishing company to say, wow, you're brilliant. Your idea is superb. We want to hire you to write this book. Don't wait. Maybe submit it to a few places, fine if you want to, but if you don't get accepted, write the book yourself, self-publish. I hope that makes sense. Any questions about the choose yourself? I think I'm making sense there. Cool. All right. Key number 2. This has been fundamental for me, especially since I was about 21. I started my business when I was 20, and since I was 21 is when I, this wasn't the exact equation, it was actually a bit longer, but I formed this as my own equation. The equation originally I discovered then was leads times conversions rates times average dollars per sale times average number of sales per customer equals your wealth. That was the original equation, but I think that this is more accurate, saying customer lifetime value here. Leads times conversions times customer lifetime value equals wealth. And this happens in any business, okay? Even if you are not running a business, this equation is having an impact on your life and your finances, because the person who is earning the money that is running the company or organization, unless it's a government one, and even then you could be argued it still works in this manner, they're still operating on this. So in any form of business that generates profits, even if you're an employee and you're not the business owner, if you can get in front of one or more of these things and affect the needle on that number, you're increasing the wealth of that company and you become indispensable by that company. They absolutely need you. And I'm not saying they don't need you if you provide value to customers and stuff like that, because that, is customer service and all of that, because that all still affects customer lifetime value. But the more you can move the needle across a larger lever in the business, the better. So, okay, so how would that equation work in a coffee shop, say? I'll just make up that example. Let's say you own a coffee shop. Then the number of leads you get might be able to be increased through running advertising. Maybe it's through Facebook, maybe it's through running a radio advertising campaign. Your conversion rate is the percentage of people that watch or listen to that ad that actually turn up and buy a coffee at your coffee shop or buy something there. That's your conversion rate. And then your customer lifetime value is, for each new customer that comes in, how much do they actually spend with you? Not necessarily in the whole lifetime, but in the next 6 to 12 months. So let's say you'll set a different number depending on the type of business you run. If it's a coffee shop, you might say 12 months. So you might say, okay, I spent $1,000 on my radio ad. I made in conversions, like you might track it by having some special code that they have to say to get a 50% off or something. You might say, okay, I spent $1,000. I ended up getting 50 new customers who each spent $5. So you might go, okay, I lost $750 there, right? Spent $1,000, I made $250. That's a bad ad. No, it's not a bad ad, because if each of those customers on average comes back, let's say 8 times in a year, then your $1,000 has actually made you $2,000 back, and probably higher, because you don't know how many of those customers have influence their friends to come in with them on other occasions in the future, and those friends influenced other friends, and you don't know that compounding effect. So that customer lifetime value is the most important metric of the business, because it means that you can buy more ads. Okay, and that's the same with any kind of business. Okay, whether it's a gymnasium, whether it's an online business where you're selling a book, or which might finish up with, say, a coaching program or something like that. It's true of all of that. Do you have any questions before I move on? Okay, this is a 10,000-foot overview. It's not the how yet, it's the overview, but it's super important. And that equation is one that I look at all the time, regularly, even though I know it. Like, I know that equation, but I still keep looking at it, because it's really easy if you have problems in your business it's so easy to start looking at things that don't affect those 3 levers. And when you start doing that quite often, looking at other things outside of those, it's quite easy for your business to drip down and profit. So if you can affect those levers, you're going to end up with being back in profit if you lose it. Key number 3, flood your mind with influence from people who already are where you want to be. That doesn't mean that they have to be your mentor in person, although it can. Absolutely it can, mentorship. For me, personally, it was that realization that, okay, what my well-meaning teachers and or friends and or family are telling me about money isn't necessarily quite right, because none of those people are multimillionaires. So maybe there's something in it in what some other people have to say. And there comes in my friend of my father's, who is a real estate millionaire. We already had some great conversations about wealth stuff with him, because he really thought completely differently to how the average person thinks about money. Go through the schooling system, get a job, go to university, whatever, get a qualification and get jobs. There's nothing wrong with that way of thinking, but you want to be choosing it consciously, while also being aware of what the other alternative is. So anyway, for me, it's like, okay, There might be somebody that's released a great book. There's so many different books on wealth that I've read over the years, or audio programs I've listened to, or other people's coaching programs I've been through. I mean, I spend thousands of dollars a year on different people's coaching programs. They're well worth it as long as you actually take action on what you actually learned there. Because it's easy to turn up, get excited, learn the knowledge, and then do nothing. That doesn't actually mean that you get the result. But as long as you take action with it, it's really important. Turning up at masterminds, eventually in your chosen space that you're in, you get to mix with other people that are really good at that thing that you're really into. And then you get tips, insider tips that have never made it yet into an audio program or a coaching program, because it's just something that's only just happened recently for that business, and they've just, it's a new discovery, and you get to share those with each other. And live events that are all around a central topic. Like if it's to do with wealth and it's a wealth building event, you could turn up at a live event and mix with other people that are already very successful, and hence you just meet them in the audience and stuff like that. Or at the very least, you're listening to all the people on the stage talking and so forth. The key is that you're flooding your mind with a new set of beliefs that you may not even realize you didn't have until you hear other people talking. And sounds obvious, like I've said this before, but not necessarily to all of you, but if you were to watch Roger Federer play tennis, you would watch him watch say 20 of his matches, sooner or later you would get to know what his forehand serve looked like. Doesn't mean that you can go out and do it. You're still going to need to take action, all right? So you're still going to need to take action. You're still going to need more the how-to behind it. Like a coach would be better, who can actually coach you and critique you, would be better than having, say, just watching. So knowledge alone isn't enough. It's more, you'll learn a lot more from doing and making mistakes. Listen to your customers and prospects. Pip and I were just talking before off camera about that. You just got to ask sometimes what people really want. So ask questions of your customers or prospects. Truly get to the bottom of what they truly desire and give it to them. Solve problems. Inject fun. Raise their status. Improve their feelings about themselves. Make them an inspiration to others. Now, I'll give you an example of this in the dog training niche. I had a program first released it just around 15 years ago. And we had this great book. We saw the market for dog training. There was a product that was out there that was making loads of sales online. And it was the only decent online dog training program around back then. And we thought, well, we could make something even better, because that one didn't even have many photographs or anything in the book, and no videos. And we thought, wow, we'll teach them how to sit, stay, fetch, how to climb ladders, how to perform complex tricks. We'll teach all of that. And our conversion rate to sales was 1 in every 669 people that visited the page bought. That was terrible. We were thinking, what's going wrong with this? Why is it that everyone's buying this other product and not our product? But ours is better. So I put up an exit survey on the page. When people went to exit, I said, hey, wait, before you go, if something was missing that we could have provided to you, can you please let us know why you're choosing to leave rather than join our program? I said something along those lines. And we got really open and honest answers. My dog's pulling on the lead. My dog is bolting out the front door and I need to solve this. My dog is aggressive around the food bowl. My dog embarrasses me when my friends' children come over because he jumps up on people. My dog's frustrating the heck out of me by constantly chewing up my sneakers whenever I get a new pair. Digging, barking, chewing, jumping, aggression, bolting out the front door, pulling on the lead, you name it, even eating other dogs' poop. There was all sorts of problems. And then that made me have that epiphany, solve problems. And then we started asking the question, what problems are you having with your dog? So we asked a better question, we got more. And then we solved all of these problems. Our book ended up adding about 80 pages to it. We had very good solutions, and our conversion rate went up because we were able to claim that we had sections on all of those topics now. And it went up to 1 in 60 would buy at that point. And then it went up even further when we started looking at targeting it even further by looking and seeing what they searched for before they arrived at the page. So that way we could put that problem higher up in the list of problems that we cover. And we ended up getting it to like 1 in 50 we're buying. And for some markets, we were finding it was like 1 in 9. Like, I didn't realize that Weimaraner owners are actually quite wealthy, so they will buy. So if they type Weimaraner training or stop Weimaraner digging or something, bam, they would just buy. So a lot of that was just based on solving problems. Okay, so same thing in most markets, injecting fun. So if your coffee shop that you've got isn't fun, that's not going to help. We found in the language learning niche that there was a lot of boring language learning programs out there. So we gamified ours, added computer games and voice recognition to help correct your voice. So you try to get a high score to try to get that lined up right. We made it so that it was all about a new conversation you'd take part in each week. So you're building the number of conversations you could take part in, made it more interactive, you know. So if you're just like everyone else, then at least make your stuff fun versus everyone else's stuff being boring. That, like I say, like that can work anywhere. You could have a gym that is fun versus a gym that is boring. Inject fun. Raise their status. If they buy from you, make them feel like they're a higher status than if they buy from other people. That can be true of just about any product or niche that can be done. So you want people to be proud that they bought your thing, not embarrassed that they bought from you. Don't be the Rolls Royce. Don't be the, I don't know what a cheap model of car is, but don't be, I don't know, Mazda or whatever. It's probably not the right one, but you know, be the Rolls Royce if you can, and make them become an inspiration to other people. It's really helpful. Okay, so next one is becoming obsessed with learning the art of writing copy that sells. If you can learn that and get obsessed with that, everyone that I see that becomes obsessed with copywriting sooner or later becomes very, very wealthy. It just seems to just happen as a matter of course. Because as part of learning how to write copy that sells, you do actually have to learn a lot about what core human desires just about everyone has. You start to learn about how to ask these sort of questions. You start to learn a wider vocabulary. You start to learn how to serve people better. So you end up making better products and marketing them better because you make more sales because you're better at writing copy. So, so going back to that there, that's your conversion rates taken care of if you get better and better at writing copy. And if you want a book that is the fundamental foundation behind most copywriting that has existed since then, it's Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz. It was written by a guy back, I think it was in the 60s, who used to have to pay money for all his paid ads to go out, whether he would buy like 4-page advertisements in magazines. I mean, that's a lot. You would have to really know your copywriting well if you're going to sell like info products and books via magazines where you're paying all of this money. So he had it down to a science, and he teaches it in this in that particular book.
Breakthrough Advertising.
Yeah. Breakthrough Advertising. He's also got another book called The Brilliance Breakthrough, which is all about how to write using words that make people listen. And that's also good as well. A lot of people underrate that book thinking, I already knew it. They don't actually already know it, because I'll look at anyone's writing and say, it's subtle, but what's taught there is different. It teaches you how to write so that every sentence, someone can picture it in their mind's eye. So it creates a visual experience in the mind of the prospect, and it also creates an emotional experience that goes in a certain order. So it's a really, really good book with lots of great exercises as well. Okay, so key number 5 is creating a profit funnel. I should have grabbed this before, but what I'll do is I'll just get Pauline. Would you mind just bringing me up this? So. This isn't going to be relevant to all businesses, but it's relevant to a lot. I'll use the example of I'll use the example of a life coach in this particular example. I think that would be a good one. For this though. Sure. Okay, so call it a profit funnel because it looks kind of like a funnel like this. Okay. All right, so the top of the funnel, you've got, say, your audience that you may decide to target with advertising or something like that. Maybe it's a radio station that you know of. Maybe it's Facebook ads. Maybe it's Facebook ads to women who are aged 50 plus. You know, let's say it's life coaching. I'm not sure. Or maybe it's like whatever that audience is. Maybe it's just anyone who's aged over 45 or anyone aged over 45 who earns over 30,000 a year or something. I don't know. So you've got your audience. From that audience, you get your leads. So your leads, let's say you've got a life coaching business, then your leads should theoretically be going to either a free report that you've got released or something, or a life checklist or something, or it should be going to maybe a paid product. Maybe it's a $7 book, like just $7, something low that low ticket, so either free or very low ticket that just gets people into your funnel or reading your emails that may now go out, your newsletter and stuff like that. So I'll put leads above it, but I'll just say, I'll call this a low ticket. Here you could certainly do it without capturing the leads at that point, but one way or another, you're either capturing them here or you're capturing them there for, say, a low ticket, like say $1 to $7 kind of thing, okay? And then from there, you might have a tiny upsell, which might be, say, the audio version of that book, plus maybe some videos that go with it, and you might sell that for, say, I don't know, $37. I'm just making up a number here, all right? And then after that, you might release some videos to your email sequence that then leads into a webinar or a workshop. So in that webinar, you may teach 3 or 4 things of value in the space of an hour, and then at the end of that hour, you may sell a coaching program that teaches life coaching in a group sort of approach, group sort of setting. So it's not one-on-one, but it's lower priced than buying one-on-one. So it might be a 12-week transformation program, or a life coach's approach to transformation or something like that, and that might sell for anywhere from $299 to, say, $499, maybe even more, but something along those lines, right? And then after that, you may offer one-on-one. And that one-on-one might be, say, I'm just going to make up a number, but it might be something like $300 an hour. It might be higher. You're not going to get $300 an hour if you don't have this funnel. If you go straight from audience to this, unless you got a lot of word of mouth, it's very hard. Very hard. Very straightforward if you've got this, because you're already profiting from all your ads by this point, right? Already profiting from your ads. Don't even need any sales of this. You're profiting, but that's a bonus. So you can be, just booked up with any number of hours per week that you want to allow yourself to do this. Okay. And there are other programs that can be slotted in the middle. Like maybe you might promote somebody else's product that might be a $3,000 product, and you might get 50% commissions on it as an affiliate of that program. Like maybe as a life coach, you don't have a program designed to help people make money on the internet, but maybe a certain percentage of your people you're coaching are in business and they're interested in that. So therefore, you might, as part of your email sequence, end up promoting one of those types of offers and getting 50% of a $3,000 program. And then, so that just gets slots in the middle. The key is that keeps going up. I've seen people offer $15,000 retreats where they'll go ahead and make a 5-day retreat where you go fly off to Fiji or Hawaii or something like that. You all get together, maybe a maximum of 30 people, and you really get in depth with the topic area that you've chosen for this. And in that case, they're kind of buying the destination and the networking as well as the thing. and then they can go even higher. I spoke to a guy when I was at a live event recently, and he was telling me about this guy that sells these coaching programs, and they go up in value all the way up to $100,000. And I was like, $100,000? Who would pay $100,000? And he said, yeah, I bought some of his programs. And I said, oh, so how much have you spent? And he said, oh, $120,000. I'm like, whoa, but he spent $120,000. I'm like, well, who are buying all of these products? He said, well, the guy that's running these programs and sells up to $100,000 program, all of to even get on his list, you have to be making over $250,000 a year. You have to be a man aged 45 plus, 45 to 55. The reason for that is because that was him. He was the man aged 45 to 55. He had to have been married for over 10 years. That was him. So he was just targeting straight down the middle with his exact duplicate of himself, so he could help them in their life get to where he is, because he was earning over $250,000 a year. He was married for 10 years. Marriage wasn't going so good. He was, and he managed to turn his life around and managed to get out of the financial model he was in. He ended up making a lot of money, but also ended up improving his relationship and all these other things. And he teaches that in all his little programs all along the way up to this $100,000 program where you basically get to hang out with him 4 times a year and go on holiday with him and 4 or 5 others that are buying the $100,000 program. And, all of those people buying the $100,000 program, including the guy I was chatting to, are millionaires anyway. So $100,000 when you already make, say, $3 million a year, it might sound a lot to the average person that's here, but it's not when you start to do the math that way and you think, well, who's buying it? It's not being bought by someone that had to take out a mortgage to pay for it. It's different. So it depends who your customers are. But all I'm saying is that don't put a glass ceiling on what you think is possible, because I think there's a lot of paradigms we have in our heads that aren't 100% as true as we think they are. Because they're true for us doesn't mean they're true for that other person and that other circumstance. Outsourcing to others. There's only one of you, so you can't do everything yourself. You just can't. When I first started my business, when I got to making $150 a week, I hired my first staff member. Other people that were doing similar stuff to me at the time thought I was crazy doing that, because I was still living off a student loan at the time and working at Pizza Hut. And I just hired someone 10 hours a week, $10 an hour, doing the stuff that I hated doing, because I know that I procrastinate over certain types of tasks. And that meant that by the end of that year, I was making more than 4 times as much as anybody else that I knew that started in this similar type industry to me at that time. And with your daily tasks, you either do it, delegate it, delete it, or defer it. Okay, do it, delegate it, delete it, or defer it. Just trying to think where I got that from. I know that there's a book. I think it's David somebody. Sorry, I'll probably have to give you the link to that book afterwards. But I definitely got that from elsewhere. That wasn't my invention, the do it, delegate it, delete it, or defer it model. But it really is helpful for getting the clutter out of your head. If you can get the clutter out of your head and onto paper, and then you go through each of those tasks that you've got and you work through, and you either do it, delegate it, delete it, or defer it to the future, then you can have a lot less to-do items just sitting there in your brain, and stuff gets done. And keep a separate journal to capture your ideas that pop up, because as an entrepreneur or as a business owner or any form of business, even as an employee who is trying to help grow the business of the person that they're working for, you're going to have ideas pop up naturally, and they can easily take up half a day if you sit there entertaining that great idea that you've got. What you want to do is just write it down, capture it. You know that you can go look at it later, and then make sure that you make time once a week or once a month to look at those ideas. Because if your brain knows, hey, I never look at these ideas again, then that doesn't work. It only works if you do actually go back and look at them, and then you can set aside a whole day for stewing over these ideas, or half a day, or whatever, and flesh out what's the best of the ideas. Because you may find you've had 10 ideas pop up and 2 of them were really good, and the other ones, maybe it was good, you didn't waste too much time fleshing it out. Okay, so any questions? No? Yeah, you want to say something?
No, we don't have enough time.
We'll get to some then in a moment, though. I think it might be important. Okay, so enjoy the journey as much as the destination. So create value and enjoy giving that value. Embrace all challenges as opportunities for growth and learning. I give this advice, and I also find it quite bitter when I have to take it. I know what that feels like, and it's really sour and almost poisonous, that when you have a challenge that was so unexpected and it's not good, and I just have to say, well, I tell everyone else I've got to do this, so I actually have to do it. And I could be down about something for a short period, and then I'm back up and I'm higher than I was before, because I'm really excited about that opportunity that I've now got to turn this situation around. I also know that all challenges in business anyway are usually experienced by multiple other people, which means that because of that challenge is a reason why I'm successful, because they are natural roadblocks to competition in a lot of ways. So what I mean by that is you could have, let's say making money is as easy as 1, 2, 3. All the money is sitting here at 3. So it's really just that, that, and that. Now let's say there's a roadblock here that looks like that, and a roadblock here that looks like that. As a result, you may have 100 competitors, say, coming in to the market. Let's say you're selling products on Amazon. Let's say you're all selling different types of candles, say, for weddings and other things. 100 people come in, first roadblock occurs. Maybe they didn't approve your product listing, or some of the candles came in broken, and all this other stuff happened. Bam, all of a sudden you're through to here and you've only got 80 people left. Okay, natural roadblock to competition. And then here, they encounter another roadblock at step 2. And some people think, great, I got through the roadblock. Others have already gone. But wait a minute, this roadblock's harder than this roadblock. It's bigger, there's more. When's it going to end? And when you're standing here behind a roadblock, you think that there could be 1 million of these things behind here. You don't know how close you are or how far you are. So as a result of the things that go wrong, though, if you can keep pushing through, you get to 50, you get down to, by the time you push through here, maybe there are only 20 people left. So your competition is smaller than it first looked. And then from there, to get to the bigger dollars, there might be 5 left. Because people don't realize that these roadblocks they don't see them as oh, that's awesome, that's an opportunity, because when I climb over this, there are less people on the other side. That's helping you. A lot of roadblocks in business actually help you more than they hurt you, as long as you're one of those ones that decided to just never say die and figure it out, get past it. And that can be as simple as getting help, doing someone else's course if you have to, invest in your own training. A lot of people think that they're throwing money away when they invest in training. It's like, what are you thinking? Like, it's fundamental, absolutely fundamental to invest in yourself. You're willing to invest in other people, invest in yourself. And if you enjoy the learning and would do it for fun, even if there was no profit, then you'll do extremely well, because there's a lot of people out there that, because it's fun, the business that they're doing, even if they didn't succeed for months on end, they still get there anyway because they were enjoying it, as opposed to it just coming from a place of, I need to get something making money for me right now. That's a different mindset. And next thing, super key, create systems for everything. You are not randomly inserted into a confusing world, although it might feel that way. Everything that is here is a result of a system. Everything, whether it be the plants that grow in your garden, going through the photosynthesis system, whether it be the fact that how evolution works, or whether it be the way the planet was formed, whether it be, a really good example is how an airport works. You go to an airport, and if you just stand there for a moment and look around, and you see people getting on planes, people getting off planes, aircraft engineers making sure planes don't break down, flights leaving on time, what happens when a flight runs late, airport lounges, coffee being served, suitcases arriving in the right places. There's a lot of little systems. If people ran airports with no system and just hoped that it worked okay, it wouldn't work, right? But people do that in their lives. So not just business, I'm talking about just in your life. So you don't want to be someone that's constantly putting out fires every day. You want to prevent the fires from happening in the first place, and you want the positive outcome that you want to happen to be happening. So spend more time in your life creating systems, just in your life and in business in general, so that repeatable expected outcomes keep happening to you. Okay, a lack of a system is still a system. It is a system of chaos. It's still a system. Okay, so it's just super important. And sometimes that means that you have to buy someone's program to learn a system that will work, because they may have a system for you if you don't have it quite right in your head what that system should be. And then you can build upon that in business. Okay, so it's key now is take action. And it all starts with the first step. For me, my first step was doing a bunch of affirmations. Like, I didn't start just wanting wealth. I wanted to improve my whole life. I've written down some affirmations that maybe you guys might want to take on. I was taught that affirmations take 60 days to fully take effect. In fact, I was taught it was 90 days actually. So they were saying if you say the same statement over and over again every day for 5 minutes a day every day, sooner or later it will imprint and override whatever belief system you had underneath that. I've personally found 60 days to have the same effect, because I've done 90 days, I've done 60, I've had about the same. So every day for 60 days if you want to do affirmations. But some people also do much better with spending 5 minutes meditating on a certain topic, or visualization, like visualizing themselves having that success. Some people do much better with that. That just wasn't what resonated with me. Some people listen to a self-hypnosis track and they get the benefit that way. And that did work for me also. Just takes a little longer because these tracks usually go a bit longer than 5 minutes. But here's a few. Anything is possible, and I improve every day. Imagine how you're going to feel if that's your state of being, that's your belief. You've just brainwashed yourself to believe that. 5 minutes a day, every day, out loud. Imagine how you're going to feel if that's just how you wake up in the morning. It's very empowering. Wealth and prosperity flow easily towards me. Now you're going to expect that your business or whatever it is that you're trying to do is going to succeed. It's going to work because you've got this belief in your head that wealth and prosperity flow easily towards me. It's important. I love the journey as much as the destination. Even another statement could have been, I love my life as it is right now. If you can brainwash that into yourself, then you're going to just love your life as it is right now, irrespective of whatever happens. And that's a good feeling to have. I embrace all challenges as opportunities for learning and growth. That's super important. And I thought I'd just quickly mention, we've got a book that will be linked to underneath this video that you guys can have for free. It's not a book that I wrote. It's a book written by a couple of guys that I know called Nick and Max. They are very, very good at teaching internet marketers, or teaching people how to go from scratch to making money on the internet, more so for people that don't have their own product. So if you want to earn commissions promoting other people's products, that's what they're really good at teaching. But also what they've done is they've gone ahead and written this book, which is not about internet marketing as such, although there might be a few references to that in there. But in this particular book, they cover 14 mindset traits that are common to most millionaires that create, develop, and sustain success. It's a kind of book that will take around about an hour to an hour and a half to read, because it's well broken up. It's broken up with lots of key points highlighted, so you can even skim parts if you wish to. But I think you'll gain a lot of value from reading this particular book. It's really well written, and it's a really good overview of just taking what I've said here, but even going beyond that with a lot more other items mentioned in there. So that'll be below this video. Feel free feel free to start reading that as well. Okay, well, that's the end of the presentation, but I just want to check with you guys. Have you guys got any questions? Because I can take a little Q&A at the moment if you've got anything you want to bring up.
No, I just congratulate you on your success in your life and for sharing that experience with us, because I think it's quite overwhelming actually. It's very empowering.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Cool. All right, so, yeah, you got a question? Yeah.
I've got a lot to think about, and you've really, just opened my mind, just the limiting belief that I've had, and it's just starting, by what you're saying and your journey as well, it's really helping me to think outside of my compartment.
Yeah, sometimes you don't realise you're in a compartment though until...
Well, I did, but I just had no idea how bad, not bad I should have, but how small it was. Yeah.
But it's empowering too, if you can start to notice that it's a lot bigger than you thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I can actually do and what's achievable,
Yeah.
Yeah. Just putting some of that energy behind it, and yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Exciting.
Yeah, so thank you very much.
Right. Oh, you're welcome, guys. Thanks for being here.